White House is asking Congress to take back funding for public media, claiming its news coverage is politically biased. This all started just over a month ago. On May 1st, President Donald Trump signed an executive order directing the Corporation for Public Broadcasting to stop direct funding for NPR and PBS. On May 27th, NPR and 3 Colorado stations filed a lawsuit against the administration. 3 days later, PBS and a Michigan station also filed a lawsuit regarding the executive order. Earlier this week, the Office of Management and Budget proposed canceling around $9.4 billion already appropriated by Congress. More than $1 billion of that was assigned to the CPB. Now, if the CPB is defunded, it can't contribute funds to over 500 PBS and NPR stations across the country. Maddie France joins us in studio to show us how that could impact the NPR station right here in the Quad Cities. Good evening, Maddie.
Hey, John. The public media gets its funding from a few sources. Here's how the budget works out for WVIK. Out of its $1 million budget, about 2/3 come from listener donations. 10 to 15% comes from federal funds through the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, and the rest is filled in with local grants and foundations. Without those federal dollars, the general manager says there could be some tough choices ahead.
You're listening to WVIK Classical.
On the Augustana College campus, NPR member station WVIK broadcasts news and classical music 24 hours a day.
So the easiest way to think about public radio as opposed to commercial radio is to just think about it as a nonprofit radio station.
Jared Johnson is the general manager. The station shares local and national news, reads out newspaper articles, and transmits emergency information. Instead of advertising dollars, it receives donations and federal funds through the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, or CPB.
Is assisted in part by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting.
And it's just always been their job to kind of manage those funds and make sure they get to the appropriate local stations.
But the future of that funding isn't so definite. The White House's Office of Management and Budget wants to claw back previously approved funding for CPB. Congress can choose to rescind $1.1 billion, 2 years' worth of funds for public radio and TV stations.
So if they're able to get this approved, it looks like a 13% hole in my budget, right?
In a White House fact sheet, the Trump administration says NPR's coverage of LGBTQ issues, race, and the COVID-19 pandemic shows its bias towards the left. President Trump called NPR and PBS arms of the radical left Democrat Party at the end of March.
I think it's very hard for a national brand like NPR to really create a product that's going to make everybody across the entire country happy all the time.
Thanks to strong community support, WVIK can lean on donations.
Visit WVIK.org and click the donate button today.
But closing the gap left by federal dollars wouldn't be easy.
Our fund drives usually have goals of $25,000 to $50,000, and we run 3 or 4 of those a year. So we're going to add on top of that another $150,000 that we're going to need to raise for next year, or have some significant cuts here.
While Johnson is confident the station will survive, he hopes area lawmakers keep federal dollars in public media.
Yeah, remind them how important this is to you and your community, and I think those calls are going to mean a lot in the coming weeks and months.
Now, the law governing budget rescissions says Congress has 45 days to act on the rescission proposals. If it doesn't, these funds can't be considered for take back again. John?